Deepseek has been cooking up something actually pretty good. Deepseek has released the updated Deepseek model that's rivaling ChatGPT. Deepseek released their 0528 model, which is the date that it was released. And this model has improved benchmark performance, enhanced front-end capabilities, and reduced hallucination. And also supports JSON outputs and function calling now, which is a huge deal. You see in this graph, you see how Deepseek has been growing exponentially over the months it has really been out, to Deepseek 67B to now Deepseek R1 0528. And so this is how Deepseek has performed over time. And as you see at the very top, Deepseek R1, the new one, is actually better. And you even see it compared to the older Deepseek model that was released in January, is actually still climbing and growing. And what's impressive about this Deepseek R1 release is that, Deepseek R1 is open source. People can use it, and it can be used anywhere you may want to, as long as you have the equipment resources. One of the things that you see in this graph is there's a Chinese and US labs leading language models, and this is by artificial analysis. And we see that Deepseek is number 2, right behind ChatGPT and ahead of Google XAI, which is Grok, and Anthropic. But that's only second when it comes to privately owned AIs like ChatGPT or Gemini. But when it comes to open source AI, Deepseek now with this update is leading number 1, as you see in this graph. It says open weights language model by country, and we see China and US is in the blue and China's in the red. And we see that, this one is better. And in my opinion, I think it's a lot better, because even with Llama, doesn't seem like it's cutting it nearly as much as it claims that it is. And even with the whole secret of it being trained on benchmark data, so it performs higher in benchmarks, is kind of out. And that's something to be kind of wary of when you do see some of these benchmarks, because who knows what nefarious practices some of these companies may be actually doing. But when it comes to open source, there's a limitation on Llama. Depending on how big your company is and how much revenue it's using, you may not be able to use Llama, as well as you have to have naming conventions using Llama and all this other stuff. But Deepseek, you don't have those same type of restrictions. You can use Deepseek however you may want to when it comes to the actual licensing of using Deepseek, which is, in my opinion, sometimes better than ChatGPT, because, ChatGPT is their model. It's on their systems, their cloud providers, and everything else. But Deepseek is on a whole nother level when it comes to that. And one great thing about Deepseek that's really amazing is this 0528 version isn't like a new version. It's not like a version R1.1 or R1.5. It's still just R1. And they did this by doing post-training. So what you see with a lot of the models when they're actually released first in the wild is they released the model and it was used during pre-training. So using data to train before it was released, and then they release it to the public. But a lot of times we see with ChatGPT, Deepseek, even Gemini, and I'm pretty sure Claude also does this, where they'll keep on cooking and training the models in the back end. Then they'll release the updated one with the post-trained data on there, which is a lot stronger. And we see that with Deepseek using this post-training method, it was able to, skyrocket to second place, at least by this analysis. But there's been people who have been using Deepseek to test out how well it does, and it was ran through the infamous cube test, where it does a Rubik's Cube to see how well it does. And it doesn't seem like it does as well as a ChatGPT or a Gemini, for that matter. And so I would take these graphs with a heaping bag of salt, because honestly, you should use it and try it out before you just say it's this or that. But the fact that it is improvements is absolutely great for all of us. And I don't really know how much better Deepseek is versus Gemini, because Gemini is really good, as well as Claude just released Claude 4, Opus, and Sonnet. So this may not be 100% up to date, even though with the Deepseek graphs, it does have Claude Opus 4 behind Grok 3 Mini, right? That doesn't even make sense. And it has Gemini 2.5 Pro, which is the 06 version. So I don't know. I think these analyses are kind of cooked in some ways. I should definitely think you should try it out. But if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest AI news, you should definitely like and subscribe. With that being said, your boy Dex, not Dexter, out.